the Republican candidate for DuPage County Sheriff's Office, on the line with us. James, thanks for coming on. How are you?
Good, very good. How are you today?
I'm good. So you're a 22-year veteran. You've been through just about it all, and you've seen it all. I read somewhere that you want to bring what you call a new era of law enforcement.
We have new ways to tackle the opioid epidemic, school violence, and especially mental health. Mental health is the one thing that seems to entwine all three problems in DuPage County.
You know, one of the biggest problems about tackling a lot of these issues, stems from money. And we're already sort of, every regards to the opioids, allowing people who are given opioids allowed to go get medical marijuana. Where are you seeing the dollars coming from to fund things like the opioid crisis and mental health? And then how do you feel about the whole issue of legalizing marijuana?
Well, I think with the opioid issue, there's a whole lot of moving parts. There's not one causation, so there has to be an equal amount of solutions. I think a lot of things can be done very cheaply, just doing them differently. The first thing is we have to think of de-glamorizing and creating a diversionary aspect to what we do with law enforcement to move people away from opioids. I've been working with a company called Save a Child's Life Foundation, and they're doing a diversionary program to where if you voluntarily submit the drug test a few times a year with parents' consent, of course, they're targeting 6th grade through high school, that they help you with things like tuition issues in college, getting you into college, getting you into a job placement program, even gift cards from businesses to kind of make it cool not to be using drugs. And then another way is technology. We can actually save money in our agency by moving off of the hard server-based server room that we have, an on-site server, and move it to a cloud-based app technology to where now we're a subscriber, so the whole system's cheaper, but we can do things that are 20 years beyond the technological capability that we have now. Even like for school violence, using that technology, we can have a panic button in every classroom, have a video feed from the cameras of the school system, and our dispatch could see things, the school liaison officer that's on site as well as responding officers. So sometimes there are ways to actually make things cheaper at the same time as improve them. It's just doing it a different way. And we think that technology is a big way to do it.
I'm speaking with James Mendrick, who's the Republican candidate for DuPage County Sheriff. You were speaking about technology. Where do you stand on body cameras? We've seen some of the controversial, issues with body cameras, making it sometimes, better in terms of transparency with police, but it's also can be difficult for police officers, who are out there just trying to do their job. There's been a lot of, problems between, we have a couple of maybe bad police officers with the community in terms of, we just saw the Van Dyke situation. And so where do you stand on that? Because, I'm very pro police officer and giving them the tools they need, but you also want police officers to be able to do their jobs.
Well, body cameras can be a good thing. I'm not saying they're, a bad technology. But, anybody can have a great idea, but unless they can afford it within their budget, it's just hot air. For us, we've had a trim budget. We lost some headcount for, some shortfalls from the state. And, there's more to body cams than just the equipment. The equipment's one cost. Last year, I know the county board and the sheriff's office explored body cams and found a grant that would do half the technology, but we would have had to pay the other half. And then there's annualized, perpetuity costs that we're going to have in a full-time redactor, full-time FOIA officer, going to add headcount needs to the state's attorney's office. We're going to need to have more server room storage. And that is all annualized costs that we'll have that is not paid. So we will actually have to sacrifice manpower to have it. Body cameras are typically implemented based on complaint basis. And we have had virtually no complaints for use of force just in last year. So I'm very proud to say that. Our officers conduct themselves above reproach, and we really don't have a complaint basis that would mandate a body cam program because we already have cameras in the dashes of the squad cars and in our tasers. And, we don't have that threshold of use of force complaints that would trigger, a real need or a mandate for a technology system that's going to cost us in perpetuity.
Right. So where are you going to be the next couple of days, and what do you feel like is the number one issue for the DuPage County voters right now?
Well, I'm going to be working. I will work every single minute until 7 o'clock on Tuesday. Is qualifications and experience. You know, I have been in the office for 22 years. I've done every job there. My opponent, seems like a nice guy. I have nothing bad to say about him. But in the same vein...
And that would be Democrat Gregory Whalen, by the way, who's also come up through the ranks, right?
Right. So he works at Glencoe. It's an agency of less than 4 square miles. We're 336 square miles here at DuPage. They have around an 8,000 person population. We're almost 1 million out here in DuPage. If he were to transfer to the DuPage County Sheriff's Office tomorrow, with his credential set, he would be a recruit. He would go into field training, and if he passed that, he would be an entry-level deputy. So, to me, I think, and that's probably a good reason I have the endorsement of all the deputy sheriffs and the telecommunicators at the agency. I think that's a sign that they want experience. The people doing the job every single day are trusting me to be sheriff. I think that this is a real qualification-based election. This is not about independents, Democrats, or Republicans. This is about public safety and a $40 million budget, which is the largest portion of the county budget.
Well, speaking of public safety, let me ask you about the immigration issue, because obviously everybody's watching the optics of the caravan. Trump's touting it as, getting his base riled up in terms of the caravan heading towards the border. President Obama out there stumping, saying that this is just, optics and fake, and these are, immigrants that are, refugees, that are moms carrying babies and things like that. But it raises the issue of immigration and open borders and letting people in. And in some cases, politicians who say that, illegal immigrants increase, the level of crime in communities. Where do you stand on that, especially when you see the caravan heading towards the border?
Well, the caravan honestly isn't a problem that the DuPage County Sheriff's Office is going to be involved with. I'm not a legislator; I'm a policeman, and I've seen a lot of problems on both sides of immigration. People who have no criminal records are easily victimized. That I've seen routinely in the streets even of DuPage, where they're afraid to contact the police. They're afraid of deportation. Which, by the way, I've been involved in hundreds of arrests over my career. Never once have I had an arrest based on immigration status. We don't arrest at the DuPage County Sheriff's Office for immigration status alone. So, we're not an arm of ICE, so we're really not involved in the federal aspect of this. So, I don't really know how much it affects the DuPage County Sheriff's Office.
Gotcha. All right. Well, James Mendrick, Republican candidate for DuPage County Sheriff, we appreciate you taking the time, and we'll see what happens on Election Day. Thanks for coming on the show.
Great. Thanks so much for having me. Take care.